Welcome back, everyone, to the Kotodama Podcast. Have you always wanted to know how to be a hustler? I know I'm not talking about the hustling culture, but about hardworking people. And the guest I have with me here today is a super hardworking person. He is a bridge, a connector, a door opener. I really see him as well as a connector, human connector, I would say. Copywriting, creative specialist, content editor, all kinds of things. He has experience in all different kinds of creative, I guess, endeavors, and lived and worked in Japan before. I think speaks 4 languages, if I'm not mistaken. He is British, though, and we will maybe feel that today. Let's see. His name is Richard Mort. Thank you so much for coming and being my 3rd guest. I'm so excited. Welcome to the Kotodama Podcast.
Thank you so much, Canem. Thank you for having me. Welcome, everyone. My name is Richard. I'm from the UK, as you said. I do speak 4 languages, which is quite rare for British people, since we have English as a native language. You know, many people don't learn another language. But for me, as a kid, we mentioned Japan. So just to cut a long story short, I studied languages. I studied French and German. I graduated, and then I went to Asia. I went to Singapore. But in my mind was always a dream to live in Tokyo, I think where you are now. And it was literally my dream as a kid to live in Tokyo and see the other side of the world. And Japan for me, or Tokyo, was the ultimate big city. So I kind of warmed up to it living in Singapore, which was English speaking, but it was not a bit closer than UK to Japan. And after 5 years in Singapore, I moved to Japan. Now, I lived there for 20 years, from 2002 to 2021. So unfortunately, I'm showing my age, but, you know, it was a very intense 20 years. Again, long story short, I came without Japanese and without a network, and I had to build everything from nothing. And it was hard work, as you know, probably. It was the pre-AI age, so it made some things harder. But the big but is that back in the day, before AI, translation was a really kind of good thing to do. If you were good at translating and language, you could make a really good lifestyle and income. So I did. Back in the day, I had kind of unlimited work of editing, translating from French, German, and Japanese to English. And I did that for many years. And I went around the whole of Japan, 44 prefectures. I got married, had 2 kids, I climbed Mount Fuji. I did many things in Japan. Unforgettable, I would say. But then I moved 4.5 years ago to Germany, which I know you know quite well. And I live in Dusseldorf. Dusseldorf is now home, which is like a little Tokyo, it's a piece of Japan in Germany.
Yes.
It is, yes, And just to bring people up to date, I don't really call myself a translator now because it's still a kind of job, but it's not the main focus for me. For me, the main focus is now being a bridge, a connector, as you said, door opener. And the skills I learned as a translator in some ways are transferred to kind of this present day reality. And AI, took some work away, but it gives me new work. So I would say it takes more effort these days, and I'm not 25 anymore. Well, I am inside, but not outside. But, I still have this really strong intensity and desire to do things to the max. And so thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, you're amazing. Yeah, that is so interesting. What you just said about AI already, I want to jump in there because I do different things in my corporate job, including translation actually. And I use AI, like the company wants me to use AI. Otherwise I'd be sitting there for hours and they don't want that. They want efficiency. So I use AI as a translation tool and then I go over it and I edit and I make it more human. I make it more correct. Sometimes AI can still be wrong, even though I think I think ChatGPT is like the best translator in the world. I don't know if there's anything better than that right now. For me, there's not. But I think it's interesting what you said that now with translation, obviously, it's not really, you can't really make maybe just a living from that. You have to always also have different skills because AI is kind of like, I guess, taking over there. I don't know. I feel like I have a question specifically to translation, and I don't know if we can talk about AI as well and how you feel about that. But one question that just pops into my head that really I want to know, because I have been, oh my God, I've been in dilemmas work-wise when I was translating for people. Live translation, where I sit in meetings and I do in Japanese we call it tsuyaku, like interpretation, I guess.
Yeah.
And my problem there often is, how do you deal with people's emotion as a medium? I mean, I know you don't do, that's not your main thing anymore. I'm just interested from someone who did it also for years and much longer than I have, because I often sit there and I feel like the things I'm saying are often taken as if they're my ideas, but I'm just there sitting in a professional meeting, translating the ideas of the opposite person, of the person sitting opposite from them, right? So, and then it kind of all these human emotions, and sometimes, meetings can get quite heat up and people can get emotional. And I feel like I'm sitting in the middle, and now people could be, I don't want to say screaming at me, but they could be, or they could be getting emotional. And I feel like you cannot completely disconnect from that. And so that's been something I have been really struggling with. How did you deal with that?
Okay, I did a bit of interpreting. I do not every week, but I do interpreting. I have it quite, I went to two audits, for example. I did pharmaceutical audit in Scotland and in Germany. I had two guys who came from Tokyo, and I had to, real time translate what they were saying, the questions and the answers from the client. And I went to trade shows. I did some really big trade shows, medical trade shows, and wine. Wine was fun because, when you have a break, you just go and taste all the wine. It was quite
Nice.
fun. The thing about I do is that, we talk about AI, so we can talk more later about that. But I like to do things not just like 100%, but in a way 150%. It's just, I know it sounds like a cliche, but like if I have a job with a client and the obvious thing to do would be like go to the website of the client, right, to get to familiarize yourself. But for me, it's like I want to prepare for everything, every eventuality. So if I have a client, I wouldn't just go to the website. I'm going to download the annual reports, probably all the annual reports, and like get a really big like mountain of data. And I may even like download the YouTube videos or something, if it's really important, and then I transcribe them. And then what you have is like a Mount Fuji of data, everything the company's ever put online. And then AI is really good at summarizing that. I know you have to put, you have to check, but still, as preparation, I feel really good when I have that kind of level of preparation. And then I know what you mean. If you're in between two parties, you kind of, ideally, it should be like a referee in a soccer match. When no one remembers the name of the referee, it means done a good job because he's in the background. If no one's talking about the referee, it means the referee's done a great job because he let the game flow. Talking football because I like football. I'm wearing a football top, but as an interpreter, if you show your client and their client that you kind of research them to death, or it really inside out, I think you build the rapport. And then you kind of makes the work easier because they know that, you did your homework. And I think before you start the work, you have to show them that you really kind of made a huge effort. And
Yeah.
that's for me been a good thing. So yeah, go
Yeah,
above and
preparation.
beyond.
No, oh my God. Yeah, no, going above and beyond. That's why I said in the beginning, you're such a hustler to me, even though I hate that word because people think it's like hustling and completely killing yourself for it. No, that's not what I mean. But I mean, you're so hardworking and you're so supportive. Like, I would also call you a human connector because when I moved back to Japan, we kind of connected, and I was like, I'm looking for a job, because I want to like switch my visa to a work visa, and I was a bit I was struggling a bit, and I feel like you just know so many people. You have a great network of people, and that's just something, honestly, that is, I don't know, business wise, I would say it's almost one of the most important skills is to be human nowadays. And with AI, it's even more important, I feel like, to be able to socialize with people, make the right connections. And I don't mean not to care about people who aren't as successful or whatever. I mean like genuinely being great at connecting with humans. And I think you're just so good at that. And I introduced you as well as a door opener. What does that mean for you?
Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you to say that. And I feel like when we talked the first time, I had a really good feeling rapport. So I did. And, for me, I'll give you one example of why people have been very kind and said, you're really good at networking. How do you do it? And even recruiters have asked me, and I think, God, like your job is recruiting. So your job is to network all the time, but you think I can do it better than you. So you're asking me. And then when I was a teenager, actually, I found social things really difficult. I was very awkward. I couldn't really socialize at all. So people now who know me now, because I can handle almost any conversation from a student to CEO, I can really, nothing really phases me now. So people would not, equate that to like the previous me who was like the lemon in the corner, wouldn't say boo to a goose as we say in English. But the reason that's the case is in Japan, over this intensive 20 years, I went to every kind of event, even though I didn't feel comfortable. But you force yourself. It's like every time you go, you learn something. And it's just like a skill, like, cooking or riding a bike. Once you get used to it, you think, how could I ever not do it or not enjoy it? And the reason I do it more is because A, you have to as a freelancer, it's network or die. But B, it's like, because I couldn't do it for so long, you want to make the most of when you can do it. So I lost a bit of time, teenage, early 20s, I wasn't good at it. So now I'm a little bit older, I say little, but like I can do it quite well. So while I'm, full of energy still, I want to do it to the max. And I can't do things by half, you know that you probably know that already. I hate doing things by half. It's just not my DNA, It's like all or nothing. So,
All or
yeah.
nothing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, you talked about when we first met, this is going all over the place. I hope you guys are okay listening to, we're jumping all around, but that's kind of the conversation I like to have. But I remember when we talked first, you said that I remind me of you when you were younger and also in Japan and hungry for like success and I don't know what you said exactly, but it was so funny. And I feel like you still really have this connection to Japan. Even now you are physically in Germany right now. And I think you just came here as well for the expo. But I think just from what I'm picking up talking with you is always your love for Japan. It just has never faded, right? Like,
yeah, it's funny, but no, it's funny. Like you say, like I think of you as me, but like you're female. Obviously, you're female. I'm male. Like the same. When I went to Tokyo, I was 27, and I was ready to hit the ground running. And I feel like you too. In a way. So that was definitely the thing. But love of Japan. I'm very realistic about Japan. I don't think it's land of milk and honey. People go on holiday these days, as we know, 4 million people a month, it's crazy. And they all go. And when I say to people in Germany, I say, I lived there 20 years. They say, oh, you're so lucky. I really want to go. It's on my list. They always say it's on my list. Or they say, I'm going next year or I'm going this year, So I think, well, it's great. It's a great place to go. And when you go on holiday, you think it's perfect because everyone is very polite. The trains are always on time. The shops are, clean and nice and, it's safe and everything. So we know the good things. But we also know, you and I know, that the reality is also tough and it's not an easy place to live. I wouldn't say Japan is an easy place to live, and I don't like everything about it. I like a lot about it, otherwise I wouldn't stay there 20 years. My wife's Japanese, I have 2 kids, I have 2 kids there, so I'm
you're too
connected
deep
strongly.
in.
Yeah, too deep. I'm still permanent resident. I keep my permanent residency. I don't want to lose that. I worked hard for that. So the thing is, I feel like every country has good and bad. Literally, every country has good and bad, and the good in Japan outweighs the bad. But it's a challenging place. But for me personally, when I have a challenge, I give my best, and Japan was a big challenge, so I guess it brought out the best in me. Simple as that.
Honestly, I love that that you say that because I feel like a lot of people come here and they have this idea of Japan that it's this land of anime and cute girls, or I don't know what guys seem to think about, but it's really, really deep and it goes, I mean, I could write a whole book about I call it like the Uragawa, like the dark side, the other side of Japan. And as much light as a country, as a place, as a thing has, as much darkness has to be there just to balance it out in the universe or something. I don't know. That's what I believe in. So I feel like I always, although it's difficult, like Japan is difficult as well, and obviously every country can be blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about Japan right now, but honestly, as a foreigner here, it's not always easy, and it's not easy as a Japanese either. I think there's a lot that this country expects of you. I always say, you might have less individual freedom than you have in Europe because there's so many rules, and just so there's a way that this society works that is demanding of you that you follow the rules. And and for me, even though it takes away your individual freedom a bit, you gain the safety on the community aspect of Japan. So I think if you're someone who wants to come to Japan, who is like, no, my individual freedom is everything to me, and I don't want to ever care about other people, then this country is not for you. And at the same time, it is slowly changing. It is getting a bit more individualistic. And but that's kind of what came to mind for me. But I often feel like people have this idealized version of Japan, and it really can be for some people. For me, it's my dream country. Like you have the T-shirt actually on from my previous company that I used to work for. So I used to be an Emirates cabin crew. Actually, I've never said that on this podcast, but I have been a cabin crew. I've been to so many.
I wore it for you. That's why I wore this today. I thought you'd like it.
Thank you so much. The trauma is coming back. No, I'm joking. It was actually a fun time for me, but also very hard. But yeah, just saying that to say that I've been to many, many places on this planet. I've traveled a lot. And for me, Japan has always been the number one place. But I wanted to ask you, like, what do you mean when you talk about the difficulties as well?
Well, okay, I'll try and go into more detail, and just want to start with something positive. Why do I love it? So one example of what I love is, as I said, I grew up in a small town in England, which was 11,000 people. It was like a very beautiful English town, which is the kind of English town American people love. The old Roman buildings and 400-year-old town hall and green fields and cows in the field playing cricket and tea houses and flowers. So that kind of England, right? But as a kid, I wanted like the ultimate big city. So Tokyo was the ultimate big city. So I wanted to experience that, right? So when I was in Tokyo and I got to a point where I could speak Japanese and I was doing well, it was an amazing feeling to like, okay, walk around Shinjuku and be able to like enjoy the best of Shinjuku, like, Isetan Honten, and, go and buy some like suit. Okay, they have Italian suits this year. Okay, I want to buy one. Or the Depachika, the best Depachika, go and buy some really good food. Or go to Ginza, I had a dentist in Ginza. So when I finished the dentist, I was like, I'm going to go and get a cup of tea and a cake, treat myself in the middle of Ginza because I feel like, gohobi.
Gohobi after the tooth doctor in Ginza. That is so bougie.
Right? After cleaning your teeth, you go and have tea and cake. It's like, why are you going to cleaning?
Yeah, why you're just undoing everything you just did.
I'm undoing it. It's like a vicious circle.
You sound super posh, by the way. When you say she
was a great, I miss her because she was a great dentist. It was in Kyobashi. It was really like high-tech dentist. And I never felt pain. I hate the dentist, but she made it really perfect. No pain at all. And
that is so important.
I never found someone as good as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the point, when I was, for example, I moved to Kobe after 8 years in Tokyo. I moved to Kobe. But I used to come back to Tokyo sometimes on the Shinkansen, of course. And when you go to Tokyo Station, you're literally in the middle of Marunouchi and stuff, and you see the buildings around you. And I think the feeling I get is that there's an amazing energy there. You're in one of the great cities of the world. And I love that feeling of being like, not only in one of the great cities of the world, but doing well and understanding it, being part of it. And this was great for me. Coming from that kind of small town, I think I had to work so hard to be in this level. And so you appreciate it more. But in terms of what I don't like about Japan, just to balance it out, well, I don't like the rigidity, the fact that people don't speak their mind, but they rely on your high context or you're reading the air to understand. And you and I probably do, but we don't like the effort required. Even if we understand, it's like, why are you making me jump through these hoops? It's like,
stop right there. This is me. I have to interrupt you. This is something I say all the time to my colleague. He was like, sometimes I can read the air, but I choose not to. I hope you know that. And I said that to him and he was laughing because like he gets it. No one has ever said it the way you said. And I never heard someone say this out loud. This has always been on my mind. Like I can read the air, but I choose not to because it's bullshit often. And it leads to a lot of confusion.
Why are you making me do this?
Yeah.
Sorry, interrupt. It's spontaneous, isn't it? So, like in a business networking evening, right? You do the Meishi Kokan, and and it's a bit meaningless. But when you first in Japan, you think, "Oh, I made 10 new friends today. They're so nice to me. They're giving the Meishi. We're going to go and have a barbecue next week." No, but like, there comes a point where you think you try actually to have some of these people you really feel connected. So you try and have a proper conversation, and you give the business card, thinking, "Well, I really would like to keep in touch." And we spent 20 minutes talking. That's 20 minutes you're not going to get back. So it's in both our interests to at least keep a relation. And in Europe and stuff, it'd be LinkedIn, but they don't do LinkedIn in Japan. That's another topic, isn't it? But here in Japan, it's like you rely on the Meishi, right? So I'm jumping all over the place. I know my brain is like that. My brain's always jumping in places. But the thing is, right? When I go home, I think if you've no interest in a long-term relationship, don't waste 20 minutes of my time and your time. I can do it. I can do 3 or 5 minutes. Like a friendly chat. But if we have a longer chat and it's like a interesting one, then don't go away thinking I'm not going to contact the person. Like, I don't waste my time. I'd rather you just like make an excuse and go off. It's like that kind of feeling.
My God,
Do you get
you're
what I
like
mean?
this. Yeah, I know what you mean. I have to say though, my experience in Japan is a little bit different when it comes to this specific topic of making friends but I did hear that many people say, like, just the other day, I was on a meetup actually where someone said, um, you know, I feel like people just come into your life and then they disappear here. They don't really want to be your friends. And I think many things go into that. I think, first of all, it is also age. Like, I see how it is different to make friends now in my 30s than it was when I was 19 and I was in Japan, or when I was 22 and I was in Japan. So I think sometimes it's age that people have more, like, I think literally people are more busier. I mean, I think they're more
Yeah,
busy. I think people have families, but I also think that, as you say, sometimes it can be fake, I guess, and a bit like, yeah, I'm just polite to you, but actually I'm interested in you, but might not want to be friends necessarily because, and I don't know. I think sometimes maybe people feel like they have enough friends in their lives, or sometimes I think when foreigners feel that way in Japan, I think it can be that it takes a while also to get closer to Japanese people. And as I feel like, I don't know, I also feel like it's often the language barrier. So, but obviously I know you speak Japanese, so that might be different. Um, but yeah, of course, I also had that feeling, not just personally, but more so actually professionally, where I'm often a bit paranoid. Like, do they really mean that right now? So sometimes it can be a bit draining because you're second guessing everything someone says. But that is kind of also part of Japan, and it can drain you a bit in the long run. And sometimes I think people who do business in Japan have issues then. Like, why does this person not want to do business with me if they seemed so happy about it? Like, yeah, no, they're just being polite, you know? And yeah, it can be difficult. But then I also feel like once you make a deep connection here, and it might take a bit more time and consistency. And sometimes Japanese people, they meet less with their friends than, for example, in Europe we do. Even if you're married and you have children in Europe, I feel like European women, for example, even if they have children, they meet each other more often. And I think it's just less of a thing here as well to all the time go out with your friends. But I feel like once you make this deep connection, it is actually really deep. And it is like a years long friendships that I have made here. But yeah, I know what you mean there. And yeah.
yeah. No, just add to that. No, thanks. I agree. And it's like, for me, well, I'm a bit older than you now, but I'm still feeling okay inside. But anyway, without going into too much detail, but in terms of making friends, for example, I still have very strong connections to Japan, even though physically I'm in Germany now. But I did go in April. I will go next year as well because various things have to be renewed. So I will go next year, and I hopefully meet you in Tokyo. I will let you know. But the thing is, um there are certain things I think I can do as a bridge between Japan and the world and Europe, which I think has real value for Japanese people. And I think once you show that you're important, you have value, then in any culture, it's going to help. It's going to make a bond. And in a way, we all have too much information, too much stimulation every day now. So you kind of have to cut through the fog. And we talked a bit before we start recording this about like my situation. So I'll just tell people, because I don't mind telling people, I have two kids. My eldest son has special needs. We moved from Japan to Germany to get better care for him. We felt like for him, Europe would be better for his needs. So we think now that was a good decision in terms of the care he gets. But we found out in June this year, literally after 16 years, the exact like genetic diagnosis he has, which took 16 years for us to get this. And it's ultra rare. It's like in the world, there are like only hundreds of families literally in the whole world. And the exact thing he
Wow.
has genetically. I'm not like a scientist or geneticist, but like if you look at the exact numbers on this diagnosis, maybe there's like
Yeah.
8 people in the world with that exact, number. So basically, I love researching, and I research Japan's situation, right? Because America, as you know, is always the number one in medicine, even though they cost a bomb, but they have really good doctors and they have a foundation for this condition. So of course I reach out to them and I say, I would love to know more. And I do my usual thing, like I research everything they've ever done. Within 2 weeks, I looked at 100 papers and done a LinkedIn article on 100 papers. And, I do this kind of thing. When I'm driven to do something, it's like everything is possible. But then I thought, I have to meet a Japanese doctor who knows this because my wife's Japanese and it'd be great for her to hear it in Japanese. And then there are families in Japan who live there now, like ours, but they don't have any access to global resources on this. So I can be a bridge. And the foundation actually agreed in America. They made me a Japan ambassador for them. And, I love this kind of role. I know that if I make a bond with a family who have the same condition, this would be like a lifelong friendship because I'm literally being the bridge for them to the world. So I told you my dream is to live in Japan. And in a second, it's not like a dream. It's like a thing, a quest. One of my big quests now is to kind of open the door to these people in Japan who have a similar situation to us and want to know more. It's like, I want to be the kind of bridge there. So, yeah.
Wow, no, that's so fascinating. Just to go back right there, what you said about your special needs son. I know he was born in Tokyo, and then you guys
Yes,
decided, as you said, to move back because Germany, I think, is one of the places actually in the world that has the best kind of facilities for people with disabilities. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, the tax is high, but you definitely, you see where it's going because we, for example, he lives in a care facility and this care is covered by the government, which I'm very grateful for because it's 24/7 care and it's, thousands, it would be thousands a month, many thousands. He lives, 2 hours away. Ideally, he would live closer, but, for me, it's most important he's well looked after. We visit him, 2 or 3 times a month and, we feel that, literally yesterday, this is a good topic because yesterday I went to the school. A Japanese friend visiting us, and he was someone who helped us with my son when we were in Japan. So I said to him, "Let's go to the school. I'll show you." So I went to my son's school, and we saw like the setup. We met his teacher, right? I was so moved because, in the classroom at his desk, they literally put like a paper partition to help him focus because he's like special needs and he needs help. So they put like a paper thing to stop him getting distracted. And I was thinking, this attention to detail is like me. It's like I do this, and I was so moved that they're trying so hard to give him the best environment. And I was very grateful. So, there's always room for improvement, and the UK would have been okay. I chose Germany because of Brexit. That's another topic. But why not UK? Well, Brexit. I came to Germany. I speak German. But yes, social care in Germany is good. It's hard to get because they make it deliberately hard to get because if they make it easy to get, they think everyone will take it. But once you get it, I think, yes, there are good places and good care.
No,
So, yeah.
yes, like from my understanding, and I used to, as I say, you know this about me as well, but I used to volunteer when I used to live in Bremen in the north of Germany for a short while. I was volunteering for people with special needs basically as well. And I think there's such a stigma around this whole topic and people think it's such a taboo and people feel uncomfortable, people feel guilty, people feel helpless almost because they feel like they cannot help these people. And I'm often just like, just treat them like a normal person. Like what's wrong here? I mean, sometimes I don't know. I mean, I think that that kind of experience for me made it easier for me to connect with people who of all kinds of I guess abilities and disabilities. My best friend is also legally blind and she has a cerebral palsy and so I'm obviously I don't know, in my personal life also I have close people close to me with disabilities, and so like I think it's just kind of sad also how people approach this topic, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about this as well, because I think it's just such a normal topic. And also from a spiritual perspective, okay, this is now my own opinion and what I believe in, but I often feel like that people with children with disabilities, when they come into this world, I think they're always here to break boundaries and to make people uncomfortable. Because why are we so uncomfortable why are we so in a box, of how we think society has to work and people have to function? And so I think it's not I never believe in coincidences. And I think also that maybe I don't have children yet, but I think you often get the children that you also need to learn and stuff and just to evolve as a human. And I think that children with disabilities often have such a bright, beautiful spirit, and they can break us out of these conventions and these like norms that are actually super overwhelming and like for everyone. You know, it's like the saying, like, if you function in a sick society, are you actually are you not the sick person? You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes sense to you at all, but
But no, my son is a beautiful boy. He's a very happy boy. And we feel lucky in a way because although it's hard, for example, there are kids who live in the same facility who really, cannot move. And he's physically, he can walk up to 2 or 3 kilometers with us. He can go on a holiday with us. He knows we're there when we come. He's very happy. He reacts to us. He cannot really speak, but he speaks in a certain way, but really maybe 10% verbal. But, he has these hidden talents. I know in his world, it's different worlds, but he's not, closed off to what we're doing. And when he was younger, when in Japan, I was working all these crazy hours and, I took him around the world. I took him to Australia twice, Sydney Opera House, Venice, Hawaii. I was very proud of Dubai, where, he used to live, I think, up to Burj Khalifa. So for me,
my
for my
goodness.
son, I have this, I'm full of fire always, but like for my son, I cannot compromise anything. I want to show him the best places in the world, and I want him to receive this kind of impact. And I know he can't come and tell me, Dad, it's amazing, and really thank you, but I know he's receiving something from it. So for me, that was a really big fuel for me to do it. And when we came to Germany,
Amazing.
you know, I cannot accept anything which is just okay. I want him to have good or the best care. I mean, the best care takes time to find. But we were offered a place. It took 2 years to find a facility for him, because at home doing my work, and my other son, who's 6 now, and my work and my other eldest son, it wasn't working together. It was too much. So he needs to live in a care home, but we do visit very often. But to find that took 2 years. And then on the way, I was offered one, and it was quite close to where we live. I went there. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And for me, that's just, I cannot, I think many, many parents would have said yes, because it's so much strain. And they think, oh, we found a place. Okay, box ticked. We found a place. It's not far away. Let's just do it. Or, when you're looking for a facility, they say, let's find one which is half an hour away or 1 hour away from where we live, in Dusseldorf, right? From
Yeah.
my perspective, it's different. I would look at the whole of Germany, and I would say, what does he need? What does he want to do? Look at the whole of Germany, which facilities are the best for him, even if it's 4 hours away, I don't mind. And if it's 4 hours away, then I'll make it happy. Maybe a long trip, we have to fly or something. But for me, more important than being close to where we live, it's like the best possible facility for him. So it's like, and I had to appeal things. When we apply for help, they say no. They say, Widerspruch, Sie haben Widerspruch. You can have 1 month appeal. So I had to appeal to the mayor. I had to literally write letters to the mayor to say, I don't agree with this decision. This is why, and write 5 pages why. But then the translation training takes over, because I know how to write a letter. I know how to research. I know how to write,
Yeah.
quote laws. I look up laws. I look up disabled books. I say to the city, I literally said to them, I said, 2 years ago, you had a book for disabled people, and you said, I want everyone in the city to feel well, whether they're disabled or not. And I quote back to them, and they can't ignore that. And
Wow.
actually, they came to our home and apologized. It's unheard of in Germany. The social
My
services came, said,
goodness.
"Wir entschuldigen uns." And that's kind of, that doesn't happen in Germany, does it? It never happens. So,
Wait, you made the mayor of the city you're living in Germany apologize to you because you
No,
wrote him a
not
letter?
him, but the social people, the social services, the kind of quite senior social services. I had to
Yeah.
write to them to get the decision looked at again. And to be fair, he did. He says, okay, we're going to look at this again. And then like a few weeks later, they came to our home and they said like, well, they didn't do the Japanese bow, didn't do not 90-degree bow, but it's equivalent. To say that in Germany is a big deal. Germany people don't like apologizing. German people they find it very difficult to
Interesting.
apologize.
No,
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. I've been removed from Germany so much. So I always say I don't feel German because I've been growing up in an immigrant Turkish family and it was kind of like all I knew. And even though I lived there for a long time, and was born there, I never felt German, but I don't even really remember that. I remember some things about Germany, but yeah, I think now that you're saying it, it's true. They don't really like to apologize easily. But I think just coming back to that letter, that is so powerful that you did that. Like you're actually an activist doing that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Um,
You're so
I,
cool.
I, thanks a lot. No, the thing about not apologizing, I don't mean to be rude or anything, because I live here and I
No, no.
have, but to be specific, why they don't like it is because for them it means liability. It's literally that. It's like, if I say sorry, I'm opening myself up here, in a corporate way, but also in a personal way. It means I'm responsible and I might be in trouble. So I cannot say sorry. Or they'll say something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, I regret you feel that way. Not like I regret what I did. And sometimes you want that, like the real sorry, like
Of course.
that's funny. Yeah, yeah. But
Of course.
anyway,
No, it's so important. I always say people who don't apologize are not really responsible adults. Because if you cannot
yeah,
see your own mistakes, and then you can never grow. Like, I think it takes so much strength to apologize, and people don't apologize often enough. It's not a big deal, you know? Like, it shouldn't take this whole thing to apologize. I don't know why people think like their whole pride is gonna like jump out the window. Just apologize and just look at yourself sometimes and be like, yeah, actually what I said was stupid, or I made a mistake. Like, it's
yeah,
not that big of a deal, actually.
yeah,
And it is in a good way. It's a big deal if you are able to successfully apologize, because it means a lot to people, I think. Like, I don't know, in my personal life as well. Um, but yeah, I often say about Germans, I mean, I don't feel offended at all, as I say, because I don't even feel German, even though my passport is German. But I often have the issue in Germany. I want to ask you if you ever have this issue, to that people don't celebrate your wins. Like,
you
when,
mean in company, in friends or company, or what do you mean by
no, like, I mean,
who's?
yeah, your friends. Like for example, when I do something finally that I'm excited about, when I finally got the job I applied to, when I finally am doing the big step that I have worked towards, people are not positively rooting for you in Germany. That's one of the things I really, sorry, this is not going to be like a anti-Germany rant, but it's really one of the things that drives me the furthest from Germans in general, was this mentality of like, can we not just be happy for like each other? Like, I don't know, for me it's still one of the hardest. This is one of the reasons why often I cannot be friends with a lot of people from Germany, sadly, because I feel like it's a cultural thing almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of know, I'm thinking of something really recent. Examples coming through my head now when I
Tell
hear you
me.
speaking. But like, so Lufthansa, obviously, Lufthansa. You were in Emirates, but it's one of the big airlines and the flag carrier of Germany. So because of this genetic disorder, my son. The actual next month there in America, there's the world's biggest conference on this not just on this condition, but the world's biggest conference on genetics, right? And it wasn't on my menu, it wasn't on my planning, but I felt like having suddenly got this diagnosis, I kind of feel like I should be there. The top guy in Japan is going. This is a big deal for me. The top clinician in Japan. There's very few clinicians who don't even know it, but he's told me, I'm in touch with him, and he told me like he has 10 families who have this condition, and he'll be in Boston. He told me in a way that in a Japanese way, he didn't say we can meet in Boston, but he says I'll be in Boston. That means in Japanese context, if you want to meet, we can meet. High context, right? He wouldn't tell me if he wasn't like. So you and I know that, right? So for
Yes.
him, that's like kind of invitation. So I wrote back and I said, I feel I have to be there because I cannot miss this chance to meet you. He's senior, there's not going to be another chance. He's got a 35-year career. There's not going to be maybe another chance to do it. He might retire. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. But it's a big deal to suddenly go to America. It's a big conference, and even attending the conference costs like 4 figures, and the flight and the hotel. So it's not impossible, but I would like some kind of help to make it happen because suddenly to do that planning is tough, as. So you know what I did? I talked to the foundation, and that conversation is still ongoing. And I reached out to some companies because I feel like what I'm doing is not a vanity trip; it's really helping people. So could we explore some kind of support? Literally, so to make it easier to go. And obviously, the flight is a big deal. It's like probably a third of the cost is a flight, right? So I write to the airline, and I didn't say, please, please let me go, give me a ticket. I just made a really strong argument, right? I did one of my forensic deep dives into everything ever done online, and Lufthansa, right? And I'm not going to say exactly who I wrote to, but it's someone in the top 10 people in the company. And I said, I think this would be amazing. You previously you have reached out for social causes. You have done this, and this, and this is a great example. This is non-vanity trip. It would be a really special thing you could do. And I didn't get a quick no, and I think there's still a chance. I'm waiting for an answer, but I think you mentioned quick wins. So if I got that would be a huge like wild celebration, right? To get that support from Germany. I'm not
You're
sure the
still,
Germans would celebrate, but I
yeah,
know
I
some of
mean,
my friends would be pleased. Maybe some of my friends would know me. I think my wife knows me, so she's like, she's not shocked anymore. I do this kind of thing. I often write to like company bosses if I feel strongly about something, whether good or bad.
That
I
is
go straight
so
to the top.
cool.
No one else
No,
does this, but I
yeah.
have a, I would say 80% success rate. 80%.
Wow. But honestly, it's because nobody does it. Like that is such an activist thing to do. That is so cool that you did that. And I think it takes courage again. And I think you love writing. I mean, I just see what you write on LinkedIn and I'm always like, wow, like this is a great, I don't know if do you use AI at all? Because you're
I
such
know
a,
I do, but the thing is, right, okay, one example I did recently, and I really like this example 'cause it's totally me, right? So I have a bank account in Japan still, which is useful because if I work for a Japanese company, they can pay me in Japanese, right? It's easier than paying for this account. So I keep the bank account open, and that's okay because they said I can keep it open. But then they get funny when I moved house in Germany and for some reason they didn't have my new address. So when they send something to you and it comes back, they block your account because they think, know your customer. We don't know the customer's not there. So it might be money laundering, they are hyper cautious, right? So that they block
yes.
the account without warning. So I try to log in. It's like your account is blocked because, your address is unclear. And then they say, you have to send us the document. You can't upload it. You have to physically send it by post. It's so annoying. It's not
Oh my
legal. It's
God.
just so Japanese, right? It's like they force you to physically send it. But then it was timing wise. I needed access to that account. And I couldn't wait a week. So you know what I did? I called DHL and I got like a courier to send it like 2 or 3 days, and that was costing a lot. But anyway, okay, I need the physical document. So I got the physical document ready, all the stuff, the new address proof and stuff. I sent it off. But then if I do nothing, it's going to be another week before they do anything, right? And I can't wait a week. So I do one of my forensic deep dives. I find out which part of the bank is handling the documents. I even found out that the president in the building is handling. Like I literally found all this secret information. And you know what? I wrote to the bank president. This is literally, I wrote to the bank president, the head of retail, and the head of brand of the bank. I wrote at 10 o'clock at night and I said, I know this is not normal, but I was your customer for many years, and this is a difficult situation for me. This is someone has signed for the courier, DHL. I got a name for someone at the center. This is the slip. So if someone in your center has my document, I cannot wait a week, and I'd really appreciate, having access to this in really polite Japanese. And you know what? I woke up and it was done, like, and amazing. And like, I literally had the
Wow.
bank press, and like they said, I hope it's okay. We have unblocked your account. And like, it just shows me,
Oh,
if you
you're
do this,
so,
yeah.
this is a thing you do regularly, it seems. I'm impressed. Like I'm learning here. Like that is such an activist thing to do, but it's okay. This reminds me of, okay, this is just, obviously you're reaching out to these people on top of these companies but I think it's this idea of reaching out that I'm actually learning lately that I have never done before. And I just recently started doing that when I admitted to myself that I wanted to have a podcast. And so then people like you and people like Nalu and people who I know around me who have supported me and this were like, you, for example, as well, you were like, I know this person and this person, you can reach out to this person and this person. So you give me this list of these people that you know, and I still haven't reached out to all of them, but to some of them. And I think I'm just realizing, and I talked about this before in my first episode actually, but I said, I think once you reach out to people and put out there what you want to do, actually things come back. Like people are just humans, right? So even if you write to a CEO, there's a chance he might or she might see it and they might write back to you like it's a human at the top of a company, but it's not like an unreachable like it's just, I think the act of reaching out is something I'm learning about. I don't know. And I think some people have perfected that. And I think you're one of those people. Like, I think you just reach out, you
I guess
build these connections.
I sometimes think I should make this into a full-time job, to be honest, opening doors for people, because I can. I actually really enjoy it. And some
You
people would not
do.
spend 3 hours researching something, but I love it. I really enjoy it. And for the bank thing, I don't want to give away everything now, but some things help, like software, for example, software that tells you if your email has reached a person, proof of delivery, or is this a real email or not? Testing an email. So there are ways of doing it and ways of researching. But then, one of the things I would do would be look at everything that's on their website or their PDF, and their quotes, and you quote it back to them. When you send a quote back to them, they cannot ignore it because it's their words, right? So, we
Oh
value
my
the
God.
customer, and we value all our customers. So I say, like, that includes overseas customers, right? Because I'm still your customer. And you said this. The president Aisatsu, the greeting the president. You look at that page. There's always stuff they say like, we want to do corporate social value. We really care about the society and stuff. I would say that. I think I mentioned my son. Not because I want to make them guilty, but I say like, listen, this affects me. If I don't have this access to the account, it affects me. I have quite a challenging situation here. And as
Yeah.
you said, they're human. And the thing is,
Yes.
right, in terms of being able to find information, other people could do it more than me, but like it's just the thought of doing it or the actual willingness to do it. That's what's missing. So for me, it's like obvious. If I don't find something the right way, I would never start at the bottom, like info@bank.com. Other people would just go to contact form and say, I have a problem overseas. Can you open my account? And someone, intern is going to answer saying, thank you very much. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And, it's going to be a week. Or for me, it's like, once you go to the top, you just have to be very relevant, valuable, and polite, and quote things and laser focus, and they never come back.
Wow.
They never come back to me and say, "Why are you writing to me? How did you get my email?" No, they never do that because you write to them as like a peer. You don't write to them as like oh, I'm a peasant and you're like a king. You write to them like uh, not they're not the same level as you, but you kind of write it as if they are.
No, I love that. You are, guys, did you hear this? Like, Rich is literally giving you a step by step how to change, how to get CEOs to give you what you want, basically. I love this. That's so cool. I'm gonna, like, again, it is this thing of reaching out. Like, I was just thinking, like, why is that so special to me? And I think it's because I always stopped myself when I wanted to move forward with something, when I felt like, oh, I would love to have a connection to that person. Like, I would love to do this thing. I would love to have a job at this whatever firm. And so I kind of often like stopped myself right like before even making the first step because I felt like, who am I to reach out to? Or just like, it's weird if I do this, right? Or whatever I thought. And then there's people like you. And I think this is what inspires me about you is you just kind of do it. You're just like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
blah, and this is my friend Canem, and she's doing this, and then hey, you can reach out to this person, and you know what? I just wrote a letter to the mayor of the city. It's just this the thought alone. Maybe it occurs to some people, but then to really do it, to really sit there, put in the effort and the time, and to just also the guts to do it, amazing. I mean, I love that, and to also, sorry, now to jump back to something that you said earlier with your disabled son, something
yeah.
that I wanted to ask you and I forgot to ask is like, you said it took 16 years to get the full diagnosis. Why do you think that is?
Okay, I can tell you. So, yeah, good question. So why? Because the genetic technology to do it wasn't available when he was born, or if it was available, it was only like a huge expense, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was not available on a normal scale. So by fast forward to now, the condition he has only been known about for like probably a decade at most, maybe 8, 9, 10 years. So it's really rare. Now, after they did the human genome, all the key genes in the human, I'm not expert on this area, but they have the key genes. They've mapped it. So they will basically take a blood sample. He was in hospital this year because it wasn't sick, but it was like, where are we now? We wanted to do testing, we want to know where we are with him. So he did some scans and they said to me, do you want to do a genetic testing? And I said, yeah. They took a blood sample, they sent it off to a center in Munich, and it's one of the world-class centers. And then they analyze the blood and the genes, and they get a massive amount of data, and then AI does help because AI says, this is normal range is here. So where do you have any kind of things outside the normal range? And then they found something which is, not like it should be. And then that kind of sensitivity technology wasn't available. So it's only because it's become available. And Germany, yeah, Social Hub, I have to say, even though I don't like some things, they're good at that. So that didn't cost us extra. That was included. And, you know, it was great.
That's
It's great
amazing.
to know. The one thing is that when you have a kid like that, it's like there were times when I thought, did he bang his head as a kid? Is there something we could have done to make it different? Not like we caused it, but could we have avoided it? But now I know this. It's like it doesn't change reality, but it wasn't avoidable. It was like something that happened when he's developing from the egg, from that stage.
Wait, are you genuinely saying that for a while you were really unsure if it was your fault? You were blaming yourself if you made a
No,
mistake
I
there?
wasn't saying like it's my fault, but I was, when you think of a cause, you think, did it happen because of an accident of any kind? Not because we were like not responsible, but like you want to know why. There's always a reason why. And as parents, you want to know because every time you apply for help, they say, what's the diagnosis? So you have a form and it's always, we had like points on the map, like autism, developmental disorder, inability to speak. So you have different points, but it kind of connects the dots. It connects the dots. So it was very good thing.
I see, but I can imagine this brought a lot of closure to you guys.
Yeah, it's a good example. Sorry, so to interrupt. I just give you one example. So I would say I'm a very resilient person, and I have to be because of my situation, the work, and my son. But there was a time when I was on a train, and I was in touch with the research head of this foundation, and I was emailing him about my son, and I said, when we found out about him, there was a point where I thought I grieved for the boy he would have been, which means that I do all these things around the world to a very high level, like talking to CEOs and opening doors, and going to semifinals of championships. And I'm that kind of person. I want to enjoy life to the max. So my son has been with me around the world, but he can't tell me, and it would have been nice if he could. But then I thought, but it's the way it is, and I'm very happy. And I thought, like I said, the situation could be so much worse because he knows his dad and his mum, and he appreciates us, and he's a happy boy. So, do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the things that we see as success, like which is obviously for you that is your success and that is the things that you love to do, but maybe even let's say even if he wouldn't have the disability, maybe he would have seen success in a completely different way and just done something that maybe I would say like maybe mainstream as from a mainstream point of view, maybe he would have thought his life would have been successful if he did something completely out of the so what I'm trying to say is like there is nothing that he missed out. I don't believe in missing out, and I know people might feel that way, and you might feel that way maybe a little bit for your son or for yourself or but I feel like everything that happens, and everything that doesn't happen was not supposed to happen anyways. It's not like there's a different, I mean, of course I do believe in parallel realities and like that's a different topic, and like yeah, there is a reality where that thing is happening, okay, but in this reality right now that you're in right now, this is the path that you're walking in, this is the path that your son is walking. And even though, and I think in today's society what I'm trying to say is like we always see people are always in a rush and always trying to like get somewhere. I need to get somewhere, and if I don't get there, then am I even successful, or am I even doing something with my life? The truth is, yeah. I mean, I really, truly believe, I really, really believe I mean, everyone is worthy, completely worthy of everything. And because if you wouldn't be worthy, you wouldn't be here. And you don't have to prove yourself to be worthy. You don't have to prove yourself to have worth in my eyes or in the way that I see the world. So he is absolutely fulfilling his purpose, I think. And I think,
Yeah, yeah, no.
and as you said, like you guys care and you guys put him in this amazing facility that you could find with the means that you have and with the possibility, that you do have in Germany. And I think that is that's amazing.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
thanks. I just want to add something. Thank you. Yeah. So I feel as well, like in a way, I'm not sure. It's funny I should say this. Really funny I say this. 'Cause I said to my wife before, and she was different opinion. But I said I'm not even sure I would, if I had a choice to go back and he would be neurotypical, as in grow up like a normal 16-year-old. I'm not even sure I would take it because it gives us a challenge, but it gives us also something valuable. And I'm a very resilient person. Part of that strength comes from dealing with him. He could still see the best things in the world because I have to work extra hard to do it. He was born in my very meaningful for me that he's born in Tokyo, which is a city I dreamed of living in. So I was very proud of that fact he's born there, and he's very
Yes.
happy. He was described as the sunshine of the classroom in Japan, and he's very popular at school. And so when we see videos of him doing, like the undokai, he needs help doing the running round, but he's like part of the school. It's really emotional, and yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. That's really warm, like heartwarming. What is one thing that you would say that your son has taught you that you think is the most valuable thing that he has taught you?
It's just generally like when I was, 20s, in Japan, I was indestructible, and I was working crazy hours and doing everything to the max. It's literally, I'd go to Undokai and I'd say, I have to fly to Iwate because I want to go to a cycle event next day. So we flew to, Itami to Iwate. And the next day I had a cycle event. It was that kind of lifestyle. Or like I want a
What?
white Christmas, so we're gonna go to Nagano. So when he was younger, it's just like I could move him quicker. So but like now it's like he lives away, but like I had to be full of fire to do this. And like, had he been a normal kid, maybe I wouldn't have had so much fire. I would have lost it. And I feel like, in a way, because there's always ways I want to try and improve his life, it means I have to keep my fire. And I guess that's maybe not a lesson, but it's more like the situation that he has means that dad has to be full of fire. So that's why I am. And
No,
I
yes.
I apply that to the rest of my life, like finding work in every other way as well.
Yes, yes, I love that so much. I mean, we talked about, now going back to Tokyo, we talked about before that Tokyo is the ultimate metropolis. Like we
For
both
me,
feel that way. And I have been to many metropoli. Is that the plural of metropolis? I just said that. I just made that up. I don't know if that's real, but
it's cool.
I've lived in London. I've lived in Dubai. I've lived in not lived in, but I have been in New York. I've been in LA. I've been in, like, for example, Berlin or Paris
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever, Madrid. But something about Tokyo is just the ultimate metropolis, dude. Not even comparable to New York. It's so just
I
when
agree.
you're, especially at night, and when you're in a really high building in Tokyo somewhere, and you see this what's it called, like the scenery, the skyline, the Tokyo skyline. Something about that. It's moving me, and it's inspiring. Tokyo is
I love that. I
inspiring.
love that. Exactly the same feeling. This is why I feel we get on very well, because we have that shared feeling. All the places you mentioned, then I've been to as well. Madrid, Paris, New York, and so on. I've been there. Not as much as you because I wasn't flying, but I did go there. But anyway, I know what you mean. I have never felt the same as Tokyo, because Tokyo for night is an amazing city. One example, okay, so back in the day, I'm working really hard and I'm enjoying my life and I'm eating out and staying in nice hotels. One of the nice hotels is Palace Hotel, right? So Palace Hotel is next to the Imperial Palace, hence the name Palace Hotel. And you know what I like about Palace Hotel is the address of Palace Hotel is Ichi 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 Maranochi. So it's like 111. You're literally in the middle of the city. And when you're in the Palace Hotel having breakfast next to the Imperial Moat, right, you feel like I'm in one at the heart of one of the great cities of the world. When I first went to Tokyo, before a long time, when I was just on holiday there, it was really a long time ago, but I was staying in Imperial Hotel, next to Hibiya Park. So the first part of Tokyo I saw was Hibiya Koen. And then Hibiya Koen is nice. It's like a green oasis, they have concerts there and stuff. They have, as you know, but like it's surrounded by these skyscrapers of Hibiya and so on. And for me, it's like, I love it because you're in a bit of green, but you're in one of the world's great cities, and you see Shinkansen, going into Tokyo Station. And as you said, the night view, the red lights, the winking red lights on the buildings. I would take a
Yes,
taxi home from Shinjuku to where I live in Kichijoji, and I
yes.
see the red lights blinking. And I even took a helicopter once. My hammer, I said I want to do a helicopter tour of Tokyo. I did that helicopter ride.
Wow.
So yeah, I know.
Wow, I've never done that. That's wow. I guess now that's on my list. I've never been in a helicopter actually, but I've been
Right,
actually
really interesting.
always up because I used to be cabin crew. So lately I've been like, everything that's up in the air, please no. Like I don't want to see it anymore. But so something about Tokyo is so inspiring as well. The people who are here are very, very creative and hardworking, and people who who are on a mission, I feel like. And even though I live in I don't want to say small, but in a place of Tokyo that is much more, I guess, alternative, and not as like, there's no big buildings here, which I also love. So there's so many places in Tokyo where you can go, and um, And I think the cool thing about Tokyo is as well that it's the only city for me where you can feel less weird about being a foreigner. Honestly, I mean, I've been to so many places in Japan as well, and I feel like wherever I go, if it's not Tokyo, people are still a bit not as used, I think, to just people living their lives in Japan who are not Japanese. I don't know what it is. Like in Tokyo, nobody cares really that you're a foreigner. I mean, that's what I guess that's what I wanted to say. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if you feel that way.
Well, like, yeah, like I'm British, and back in the day in Tokyo, I was like doing the Japan British Society. So anything between Japan and the UK, I was like involved in like British Chamber of Commerce in Japan, and Japan British Society parties in the British Embassy, and you have this kind of connection to your homeland, but also you have the Japan, and it's like you have your favorite places in the city where you go to, and any city is the same. Once you have your regular places, it's like an anchor, it's like a foundation, and once you have that, you feel really at home. And maybe when you're traveling, which I did a lot, and you did a lot in Japan, we don't have the anchors, so it's a little bit more challenging. When you have your anchors in the city, you have a bad day, you just next day you go to your favorite place, and it's kind of like, I go to my Ginza shop and have my tea and I feel better, so
Ginza.
it's like that, and
Ginza.
the thing about Tokyo is there's always stuff happening. So if you're having a bad week, you can literally Google events and find something which is you, sometimes often free, doesn't cost anything, but you're going to meet cool people, right? And see good things. You can do that, which is a great pick me up, isn't it?
That is so true. There's always something to do here, like whether it's art shows. I mean, yesterday, me and my partner, we went to a thing that we were invited to, but it was kind of like a fashion label that had like a little event, and we just went there and there was artwork and cool people and free food and free like beer. And so
Oh, it's good.
like we just had
Sounds
a
good.
cool, and we were just there a little bit, but it's just cool to kind of get out there. But I would say that before COVID, Tokyo was really not really sleeping much. But now that it's after COVID, it did change in a way that I feel like the shops close much earlier, which is good for the workers who work there. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish it was still this like never sleeping kind of vibe that it was before. So
Yeah.
it did change a bit like that. But yeah, uh, uh, oh my God, Rich, thank you so much for being on today. We already spoke an hour. I'm, yeah, I love talking to you. You're so cool. And I think you're very funny. Actually, I was just laughing to a lot of things that you said. I think you're dry. I don't know if it's the dryness, if it's the British in you,
British humor.
but I think you
Yeah.
have such a great humor. And I love, also, by the way, how you're always helpful and super supportive of all kinds of people. And I think I really believe in karma. So I wish you all of that back. And I hope you are always successful. And if you want to come back to Japan, long term, I would love to sometimes go to that posh Ginza place that you're talking about.
I would love tea. We'll have
Um,
tea. It's still there. It's still there.
it's still
I'll,
there. Okay.
I'll get them to fix a table for you, and we'll have tea. But anyway,
Yes.
I'm sure we'll see each other next year because I'm have to come and renew my stuff. And I'm going to share a picture with you of my son. This is a very nice picture to share with people. So here you see, this is him on holiday in UK. And the reason I show is this. So my son Leo is really a beautiful boy, and he surprises us because he has these challenges. But then we left him alone to play, and he sets up the dominoes. And this takes kind of for him it's a big thing, but it's like
Of
wow,
course.
there's so many hidden things he can do which we don't know. And so to see that, it's like literally, when you push it down, it goes like that. He
Yeah,
likes
it's a
watching YouTube.
domino.
So he did the
Yeah.
same thing as he's watching YouTube. So for me, there's so many magical hidden things about him. So, yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I can really feel the love that you have for your child as well. And I, yeah, I think that was super, super inspiring. I hope it resonated with people who are listening. And I'm so excited to further, connect with you as well, privately and also like professionally. Thank you so much as always. And thank you for being my guest today. It was amazing to talk to you. And I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel like we talked a lot about,
Thanks, Janem. Well, I
about a
feel
lot
like
of things.
yeah, thanks
Yes.
so much. I feel like, the conversation writes itself. I don't need a script because it's all in here, and I want it to be fresh and it's spontaneous. And, the other day I did a Reddit, right? So I never use Reddit, but someone said, can you do a Reddit like AMA, Ask Me Anything? And literally for an hour I was doing questions, right? And it was all about Japan. It was a similar topic to what we're doing now. And it was like, I typed 8,000 words. My hands were like, after my brain, I'm tired. because you're literally like typing nonstop. But like, I feel like this conversation we had today and that conversation online is really like packed with all these good memories. And it's like, there's so many more, but like we did some good stuff today. So I'm very grateful we chatted, and I feel everything you said is like, I would like to reciprocate. So looking forward to catching up in Tokyo, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Rich. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the third episode of the Kotodama Podcast. Please like and share and subscribe if you are into these kinds of conversations, if you're into Japan or just into deep conversations. And I hope you had fun or you learned something. And see you soon. Bye.